Hi everyone, this is Advanced Statistics for the Social Sciences. In this lecture, I'll begin describing regression, including interactions. A moderator is a third variable that we would add to a regression that influences the relation between x and y. Specifically, a moderator causes an interaction effect when the effect between x and y, or the effect of the bivariate relation, depends on the moderator. So in a regression analysis, if we translate this to the way that we've been talking about regression already, we would think that we would describe it as the slope of the predictor variable on the outcome would change across different values of the moderating variable. So let's take a look at the equation for moderation. So essentially what we do with moderation is we have two predictors, just like in a multiple regression with two predictors, but we create a third predictor that is the product of the two other predictors, and that represents the interaction. So in this equation here, we can see that there is an intercept, just like usual, beta 0, and beta 1 and beta 2 relate the predictors x1 and x2 to the outcome, just like in regular multiple regression. And then we have a third slope coefficient, beta 3, and beta 3 corresponds the interaction between x1 and x2, that would be the interaction term, to the outcome. And so in this equation, this is a moderated regression equation where the influence of x1 depends on x2 or vice versa. So we can see this a bit more clearly when we rearrange the regression equation. If we take a look at the top regression equation, this is the one that we just looked at. So we've got three slope coefficients relating the two predictors and the interaction between the predictors to the outcome. We can rearrange this equation and combine some of the terms that involve what we term the focal predictor. So this is the predictor of interest, and the moderator would be the variable for which levels of the focal predictor influencing the outcome vary. So the focal predictor here is x1. And so if we combine some of the terms, right, if we pull the B3 term, group it together with the B1 term, the beta 1 and beta 3 terms, then in the brackets in the second equation, you'll see that we've got all of the terms involving x1 inside brackets. And then we can factor out that focal predictor from the terms within the brackets. And then we end up with this kind of this grouping of coefficients in the brackets, where we see in the bottom equation beta 1 plus beta 3 times x2 all multiplied by x1. So this is essentially to show that the term in the brackets depends upon is everything relating x1 to y. And because x2 is in the brackets, we can see that the relation of x1 to y depends upon levels of x2. So the interaction coefficient, beta 3, is the amount of change in beta 1 for every 1 point increase in the moderator variable x2. Now, this may seem confusing because usually when we interpret coefficients, we're just talking about the relations between the variables, the outcome and the variable. But the reason the interaction coefficient is the amount of change in the coefficient for x1, the beta 1 coefficient, is that it's telling us how much essentially x2 influences x1. And so we can see that when we group those beta coefficients together in the brackets. Again, anything in the bracket is what is affecting what is representing the relation between x1 and y. So the fact that beta 3, we've factored x1 out of it, right? We have x2, the variable inside those brackets, indicating that x1 influences the relation between x1 and y. So this concludes the first lecture on moderation, and in the next lecture we will start with a categorical moderator example.